By definition, an antenna is a metal whip designed to receive and transmit radio signals within a given area.
It's BS in the Morning on KSLQ and Westplex 107.1.
It's the special Shelley mix. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Me and Flipper. I got your Flipper right here, buddy.
They call him
The
Flipper.
third phalange Flipper.
I've contributed to your delinquency. I've taught you that about third phalanges, didn't you?
Yeah.
Third phalanges. Okay. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, look it up. Phalanges. I think that's Phalanges. Yes. Okay. It's Thursday. It's 6:15.
Phalange?
Phalange. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell it. I'm going to look at that real quick. That's not?
No.
Phalanges. Is that what it is?
No.
Yeah. Phalanges. I'm looking at it right now. The phalanges are small bones or fingers found in hands and feet. Each foot is composed of 14 phalanges. The big toes have 2 phalanges named the proximal and distal, while the rest of the toes have 3 proximal, middle, and distal phalanges. But they're fingers, small bones of fingers, but see, you could say third phalanges, and that could be like your third toe, which would mean the same thing, right? If you could move
it's hard to separate that one.
I was going to say, if you could move your toes like that, you probably,
There are people, I've actually seen people that can, you know how you roll your hands, your fingers?
Yeah, they can do that with their toes? They can do that with their toes?
Yes.
That's sort of creepy.
It was. I'm like, that's interesting.
I have this thing, and I didn't even notice it, that maybe it's changed as I've gotten older, but when let's say if I lean on something, let's say if I lean over on a table and I'm talking to somebody, my elbow goes backwards on my right hand. You know what I'm saying? Like my arm goes backwards. Get what I'm saying? So in other words, instead of, your arm flexes one way, and when I put weight on it, it goes back the other way. Get what I'm saying?
I don't.
Okay, so your arm is straight, okay? And you bend your arm forward,
in
okay?
front of you,
yes.
Up to the side?
No, your arm's straight, down by your side, okay? You like, let's say you're doing curls at the gym, okay? Your arms are down straight, and then you come up, okay? But when you come down, your arm's essentially at 0 degrees or 180 degrees, whichever way you want to look at it. It's straight, okay? My arm goes like negative 20 degrees. In other words, it bends backwards at my elbow if I lean on it.
Bend over backwards for your clients.
Right. It bends backwards at my elbow. That's the crazy part of it. Okay. Anyway, talking about my physical attributes or lack thereof. It is Thursday. Man, crazy.
Somebody commented on your swagger the other day.
Who was that? No, we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We had an experience on Tuesday. I'm not going to talk about it.
Somebody paid us Tuesday for the hamburgers they got that day.
No, Tuesday when the appointment we went at, the very nice lady.
Adorable.
Right. And I won't mention her name because of the fact that I don't want to embarrass her, but she was very concerned about my back. Let's leave it at that, okay? And I explained to her, I said, well, when you get hit by a tractor trailer, you don't necessarily come out as good as went before. So that's my, I don't like to give excuses, but that's my excuse. People go, why? Hold on, what is this? You sent me something. What is this? Where did you get this?
It was texted to me.
I'm right after all? What am I right after all about?
Everything?
No. I am not right after all about everything. I have to tell you, there are stories that just hit me that, and I got this, I won't say this is his original thought, but Tony Colombo, who used to work in radio, I think he's out of radio now. He used to be on 97.1. And he had this thing called the flip test. And he talked about this all the time. And after a while, I thought to myself, you know what? He's got a point. And the idea being is you take a situation like, let's say International Women's Day, and you flip that around, and he would say, like, okay, that's great. We're celebrating women. Why don't we celebrate men? And we don't.
I knew that would come up.
Well, no, but think about it. Why isn't there an International Man's Day? And because people go, well, every day's Man's Day because men rule the world. Well, once upon a time that was
to think so.
Yeah, once upon a time that was true, but it's not true anymore because I am happy to see, like, for example, the sales call you and I had Tuesday, all women business. All the women run the business. The managers, people that work there, all women. And once again, if you were going back like 40 or 50 years, that would not be the case. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes.
That would have been an all-man business, okay? And most businesses are that way. I do all this reading. I'm a freak on reading statistics and stuff like that. And the fastest growing segment of business startups are women business owners. You go to
for sure.
You go to our chamber meetings, and I would say at any given chamber meeting, no matter which chamber you go to, there's probably more women there than men. Wouldn't you agree on that one?
I would.
And once again, it's to the point where if you go back 50 years to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, it's all dudes. You know, it's like the good old boy club. Hey, Jim, nice truck out there. Hey, did you go hunting? Yeah, I got 2 deer. You know, that's the way it was at the Chamber of Commerce meetings. Not that way anymore. And I grew up, I've told the story many times before, with a very assertive mother, a woman who was ahead of her times, a woman who was a women's libber before there was no women's lib. She didn't burn her bra or anything like that, but she was very upset about the fact that women were not treated as equals to men. And her complaint was, because she was in education, she was a special ed teacher, that she could never be anything more than a department chairperson. She could never be a superintendent or an assistant principal or a principal or an administrator or anything like that. She could never go past that point. And now, God, most of the schools, it seems like most of the schools have women principals and the districts have women superintendents. You know, there's several districts in the St. Louis area that have women superintendents. And, you know, once again, they talk about the glass ceiling. Was there a glass ceiling? Yes, there was. Has it been broken? I say yes. My industry, you know, when I first got in the radio business, all dudes, everybody in there was a guy. Management was all men. Salespeople were all men. You know, now you have incredible diversity in radio stations. Matter of fact, at one point in time, in 10 years' time, from me working at the original KSOQ, we went from an all-man sales force with the general manager. The general manager was a man. Sales manager was a man. Salespeople were all men. We went completely to the 180. Karen Carroll was our general manager. I can't remember who the sales manager was, a woman general manager. We had an all-woman sales department. Every one of them was a woman. And they kicked butt. I mean, they turned Y98 into just like an incredibly profitable and very successful radio station. Still is. I don't know how about profitable anymore. Who knows anymore what anybody's making anymore? Because why is that? Because Mark Zuckerberg, everybody's sending their money to Mark Zuckerberg and the dudes at Google. God, that drives me nuts. You know, I mean, how many times do we hear that? I don't do any. All I do is Facebook ads. Okay, whatever. Can I tell you what's interesting?
What? I
don't know if you hear this. I get the pushback on the fact that they can target their ads, and which to a certain extent is very true with Facebook and Google.
Okay. Yeah.
With our station, the station we're on right now, Westplex 107.1, there's a promo we run that talks about we're the only station with a geofence signal, which is true. If you leave St. Charles County, for the most part, you can't hear us unless you're streaming. Okay, so that is a true statement. And in other words, it's a form of targeting, geo-targeting your audience. Okay, everybody brags about how great geo-targeting is on the internet. I go online, I get these ads for, I don't know why this is, I get ads for car dealers in Tennessee. That's all I get. Hey, come down to Cool Springs Toyota. I go, where's Cool Springs Toyota? It's in, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I'm going, why am I getting those? I get ads for companies, like plumbing companies. I get plumbing ads for every plumbing company except anybody who's in the St. Louis area. I get plumbing ads for Little Rock, Arkansas, for Des Moines, Iowa, for Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm going and the crazy thing about it is those people are paying for that ad. They paid to send me an ad on YouTube or Facebook, whatever it is, for me to buy a Toyota at the Gatlinburg Toyota dealership, which I'm not going to do. There's no, unless the guy would say, hey, all new Tacoma trucks for you guys in St. Louis are only $10. then I would be driving as fast as I could to get to Gatlinburg, Tennessee with my $10.
A lot of people in St. Louis or around the nation would that worked for the FAA would get a school down at the FAA and go on the Miracle Mile down there and go to their car dealerships.
The Miracle Mile in what, Oklahoma City?
Yes.
They have a Miracle Mile?
They do.
And why is it a miracle? Because people actually have all their teeth?
Have you ever been to Oklahoma City?
I love Oklahoma City. I love Tulsa, too. Yes, I've been there many times. See, once again, these cities that people make fun of. I've told you about the fact that I ran a company in Omaha and in Des Moines. I loved Omaha. I loved Des Moines. I thought there were, and people, Des Moines. Now, once again, not much nightlife in Des Moines, but I'm not much of a nightlife guy. And the winters are pretty brutal because, once again, we talk about this all the time. The way the weather moves through, especially in the winter, it moves southwest and northeast. And there are many days, matter of fact, let's take a look right now. There are many days when Kansas City gets their butt kicked and we don't get anything. Our Kansas City is like 10 or 20 degrees colder than we are. You go further north, you go to Omaha, you go to Des Moines, it's 10 times worse. I mean, I can remember I used to fly into Omaha and then rent a car and drive over to Des Moines. Man, many a winter night, because I get into Omaha about 6 o'clock at night. Many a winter night, I didn't think I was going to make it to Des Moines because of the fact that the weather was so bad. I mean, it was like a blizzard kind of thing. Okay, let me look here, the weather. Right now in St. Louis, it's officially, when my weather app's screwed up, it's not working anymore. I wonder what's going on. Maybe I need to redo it or something like that. Oh, hold it. Here's St. Louis. It's 42.
You probably do.
It's 42. How about Kansas City? New York, it's 34. Santa Clara is 40. Okay. Washington is St. Louis. Kansas City's 38. So it's 4 degrees colder. And matter of fact, it's right now in Kansas City, it's raining. And it's going to rain up through, what time? Let me look at this. It's going to rain all the way through. I'm trying to get my thing to move here. It's going to rain all the way into the afternoon. 90% chance of rain today. But here in St. Louis, let's look at St. Louis. St. Louis, it is 80% chance of rain, but it's not raining right now. Matter of fact, it's not supposed to rain until sometime this afternoon. So the rain is falling in Kansas City now. We're going to get in 3 or 4 hours. So anyway, I don't know why I talked about that. Okay, lots of stuff to talk about this morning. You've got your list of stuff to talk about this morning?
Sure.
Some good things, some bad things, some crazy, weird stuff. This stuff that's going on. Do you know about this whole crazy thing going on down in Atlanta, what they call Cop City?
No.
This is really getting to be nasty. I mean, I don't. And what's so crazy about this is the Antifa people again. The Antifa people.
Why can't somebody stop them?
What you just said is the same thing I'm going like, I don't understand. How these people get away with this?
I don't understand.
And well, there's some really interesting things coming out of the Atlanta thing. If you know, long story made short, they're trying to build a training center for not just police, for firefighters, essentially for first responders. There would be a portion of the training center that would be for firefighters. They'd have like the cool place out there that John Schneider has out in St. Charles, not in St. Charles, in Wentzville with his what I think is really cool. They made this fire training center out of storage containers. The shipping containers, what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they come from a long way to use it.
Well, it's really cool. It is. It's a bunch of shipping containers that are stacked, and they've got windows cut in some of them, and they've got doors cut in some of them, and they literally put the thing on fire. And the firefighters train, on multi-level floors to putting on fires, stuff like that. Okay, that's what they're building down, at least they're trying to build in Atlanta. But it's going to be a multi-jurisdictional thing where not only will it be the police, it'll be the fire, it'll be the EMS people, and they're going to use it as a regional training center, well, not just necessarily for Atlanta firefighters and police, but essentially the entire, metro area, all the munis and things like that. Well, this bizarre thing, and I watched this video last night. It's just downright spooky what's going on down there. I mean,
what is going on down there?
When you see police running for their lives, you're thinking, I'm telling you, you're going like, okay.
And where's this?
Atlanta. This has been going on for like a month now. And what's interesting is they just had a big raid where they arrested a bunch of these protesters. Every last one of them, except for one guy, was not from Atlanta. Some of them aren't even American citizens. Some of them are citizens of other countries. And I go like, hey, if it's so bad here, go back to your other country. Go back to where you live, where it's great, Anyway, we'll talk about that later. And once again, I'm not trying to say, cops are always right. They never do anything wrong. And firefighters are perfect and the paramedics never make a mistake. Hey, we're all human, I mean, before 8 o'clock
so
every morning.
Don't put your blame on me.
I make 42 mistakes. The first one is I'm on the air with Shelley, right?
Third phalanges to you, buddy.
Thanks. It's 6:30. Shelley, can I tell you something?
Sure.
That to me is a sleeper song. I love that song. Summer Days by Martin Garrix, Macklemore. Macklemore is the thrift ship. Let me try to talk. Thrift ship guy. Remember the thrift ship song? I can't say that. Thrift shop song. Remember the thrift shop song?
No.
You don't remember that song? It was a big hit. That was like his first big hit. Anyway, I love that song. Anyway, okay, I was just reading this funny article about this lady who was traveling on Delta Airlines and her baggage got damaged. She had a brand new one of these roller carry-on dually joppers. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And she pulled it off the baggage conveyor at Syracuse International Airport and noticed it had been destroyed, as she calls it, and they showed a picture of it, brand new, like the wheels are broken off and there's holes in the bag. It looks like somebody ran over it with a forklift or something like that. So she goes back and forth with Delta, and Delta sends pictures and finally says, okay, we're going to send you a replacement. So she doesn't get one replacement. Let me look at the picture here. She gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 replacements.
Good.
There's looks like 6 of them or 7 of them that are the same. They're large. One of them looks like one of those aluminum kind of, which is even larger. Then there's a couple smaller ones, and then there's like 3, even smaller ones. And so yeah, ended up with 13 of them. And she says they were all like $200 to $400 a piece. She says I felt terrible. I did view other bags, so I don't know if what they told her was they gave her some line to go on to, like some website or something like that. Say pick out which one of these you like, in other words, and Delta's going to pay for it, and they're going to ship it to her. So she picked out one, and she ends up getting 13 of them. She said she contacted Delta, who reached out to the luggage company. She says, we got it all straight. Thompson said the representative name was Pam, and she says, yes, it was a mistake. We're sorry for your inconveniences. Thompson said she was sent back postal slips, and she shipped the luggage back. They made it super easy for me. I'm not mad about it. Just hope someone didn't get fired for their job for making that mistake. Can you believe that?
I can.
I will tell you, and when I was a younger guy, a lot younger than I am right now, and I used to listen to the old radio station Kirl, Kirl. That's the one in Boshertown. Sometimes through the years, people think that's KSOQ. Remember, we've had that, oh, you guys are in Boshertown. Remember, know what I'm talking about?
They do.
Yeah, and for some reason, they confuse us with Kirl, which is still there, but it's now a God Squad station. I think it's KKOJ or KHOJ or something like that. Anyway.
Hodge?
I don't know what that is.
I
used to win contests from them. Like, hey, be the 14th caller and win. And it got to the point where I just started getting stuff for free. I mean, I might go home from school. Hey, you got a package in the mail today. I go, what's that? It's like 2 albums. I go, I didn't win those. And they just send me stuff. Maybe they had too many albums. We used to, God, I tell the story. Back in the day, we used to get, this is when they still made 45s. And it's funny. If you say to a young person right now, a 45, they'll think you're talking about a gun.
Yes, they will.
Right, it's a 45. Yeah. Back in the day, they were 7-inch records, one song on one side, one song on the other. And the way it worked was...
And one is the B-side.
Yes, one was the hit, and the other one was what they called the B-side, which was sort of the throwaway song. And the reason they did that was they wanted you to buy more 45s, because if they put 2 hits... one on each side, then they wouldn't make as much money. So what they did was they took the good side, A side, and that was the side that had the big hit on. The B side was like the throwaway, okay? We had boxes of those at the radio station, at the original KSLQ. I mean, if you would have dumped them out on the floor and counted them, thousands of records. And the ones that nobody liked, we just threw in a couple big boxes, and we just threw them away. So one night, God, I shouldn't tell this story. One night when my brother, because occasionally my brother would stay with me. You know, my brother was 8 years older than me, and he would stay with me. And one night, I was working late at the station. I had my brother with me, and one of the engineers was with me. He had his car, and there was somebody else. We decided we're going to have a 45 fight. So we drove up and down the highways, and we threw records at each other like Frisbees and tried to hit each other's cars while we were driving down the highway at like 65, 70 miles an hour.
I can see that.
The problem was that you had to, and this was sort of interesting, you had to throw the record Frisbee style from inside the car, because if you threw it outside the car, even if you threw it Frisbee style outside the car, the wind would get it. Get what I mean? And would just like fly backwards. But if you threw it from inside the car and got enough spin on it, and it kept it pretty much horizontal, where it would just slice through the air, because, you know, once again, it's coming out of zero wind speed inside the car, and all of a sudden, if you're doing 55 miles an hour and there's no relative wind, all of a sudden it's going into a 55 mile an hour headwind, but it's going sideways through a 55 mile headwind, if that makes any sense. And if you threw it from inside the car and you got enough spin on it, it would travel pretty true, and you could hit the other guy's car. God, I mean, we probably went through hundreds of records. Now, I know people are going to say, you were littering the highways. Yes, I was. And you know what? I apologize, because, and this is instant karma.
Though?
About 6 years ago, I had a terrible blowout on 170, and I got off to the edge of the road, and I looked at my tire, and there it was, one of the 45s that I'd thrown 30 years earlier, stuck in my tire. So I thought to myself, you know, PBMF. That's what I thought. All I thought was PBMF.
Okay.
Have you figured that out?
Yes, I yes.
30 years later, the 45 got me. Do you believe that?
Is it karma?
No. Never mind. But see, once again, this is, I think the record companies, they're complaining because the artists are all complaining about they don't make any money anymore. The only money they make is on concert tour. That's why everybody's on tour, okay? And the sad part of that is the record companies are responsible for that, because people used to buy 45s. I used to buy 45s. Did you buy 45s?
Yes.
When you were a kid growing up, I mean, remember, you could go to Walgreens and buy 45s. Remember? You could buy.
Yes,
you could go to the department stores. You could go to Sticks, Bear and Fuller when they were around, and Famous Bar. Now it would have been Dillard's and Macy's, if there's still any of them around. But you know, you could buy albums there. They had albums. They had 45s there. And now, you know, and then, for example, one of the things that I think is terrible that the record companies have done, they've done this with, like, I think Toby Keith did this, and Garth Brooks has done this, where they come out and they said, "Hi, I'm Toby Keith, and you know my new album, my new CD, you can only buy it at Walmart." Okay, why would you do that? Because Walmart probably paid them $2 million. Hey, we'll do a promotion with you when your new album comes out. Only make it available at Walmart. Why would we do that? Well, we'll pay you $2 million to do it. Okay. You know, the idea being it gets people in the store. You go to the store to get the new Garth Brooks album. You're not going out of there with just that. You're going to buy, you know, a tub of, you know, lard and other stuff you need at home. You know what I mean? Like toilet bowl cleaner and, you know, one of those lint brushes. You're going to buy all that stuff. All made in Japan, by the way. I mean, made in China. You know,
there was a lot of stuff that used to be made in Japan that's not made there anymore.
Well, see, funny you should bring that up, because in my lifespan, if you had something that was made in Japan, it was junk, okay?
See, I don't remember that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember quite the opposite.
Junk. Matter of fact, if you had people used to say it was made in Japan. Now it's made in China. Remember, you and I told the stupid story, I think a couple weeks ago, about how we had some tower work done. The tower crew had their big van with all their equipment in it, and they opened up the back door, and there's this big warning sign that says, "Warning, no Chinese hardware." And I said to the guy, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Oh, we're not allowed to use any rigging hardware that's made in China." And I go, "Why is that?" He says, "It's junk." He says, we get killed. He says, when you're hanging off the side of a tower at 600 feet, you don't want to have your carabiners or your rigging hardware break and you fall. I go, okay, I understand that real well. He says, well, that's the Chinese stuff. It's junk. And there's so much stuff. I told the story about the stupid power supplies I use here at the radio station. I bought them. It couldn't find them any. They're what they call a specific form factor. So it has to fit into a specific piece of equipment, and there's a certain size. And almost all of them made in this size are made in China. I went through 3 or 4 of them in 6 months, brand new. Put them in, bonk. There's a part in there that literally exploded. And then I found an American company that makes the exact same power supply, exact same size, same form factor, the whole bit. Cost me, I think, 3.5 times more as the Chinese power supply. It's been in it for years, never even hiccuped. It just runs and runs and runs and runs.
I do.
Yeah, but we hope that all the Chinese military equipment they're building right now is built with that same quality. Where when they're driving their tank,
same quality that they sell to the rest of the
right,
world.
when they're driving their tank, the treads fall off, and when they're flying their jet fighters, the engines fail and the wings fall off. Yep, we hope they're making the military equipment the same way, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes. Okay, time to take a break. It is 6:40.
9.
No, it's 6:46.
6:46.
Ava Max. Do you think that's a real name? I just hit my microphone. I'm sorry. Normally you do that, but I did it for a change. Ava Max.
Imagine that.
Do you think that's a real name?
What is it, please?
Ava, AVA, MAX. I did it again.
It's probably not. Oh my goodness! I was driving down the road.
Hold it.
And I saw.
Well, let me pick that up.
This company.
Hold it. Let me just do it. Her real name.
Amada.
Her real name is. She's got the world's worst name. Her first name is Amanda. Her middle name is Ava, and her last name is, I guess you would call it Kochi, Koci. Would that be like Koch? Wouldn't that be like the Italian pronunciation where you do the C is an S?
Or a cocky.
Either Koci, Koci, Koci or Kochi. She is born in 1994. She's from Albania. Did you know that?
No, but that sounds about right. So
okay.
That could have been her real name.
Okay, you were driving down a road, and what happened now? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to finish.
Actually, I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. That's okay, Shelley. I never want to interrupt you. So go ahead.
Well,
I never want to interrupt you. So just go ahead and say what you're
going to do. That.
Go ahead and say what you're going to say.
So there's a company out there called Amada.
Okay.
Literally.
Keep going.
No, that was it. There is a company out there that they have their car wrapped, and it's Amada.
The reason she brings that up is that I am still like a 6-year-old kid when it comes to my humor.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's like
one of my favorite things is to go somewhere, and I've done it in front of you before and embarrassed the hell out of you. But like, go to some place and order like, okay, I'll have a hamburger, French fry, and a Henway. And they'll go, what's a Henway? About 3 pounds. So one day, see, my middle son, I bet he still remembers this. He graduates.
Call him.
He graduates from, I think it was his high school graduation. So we went to Red Lobster to celebrate. The Red Lobster out there on Veterans Memorial Parkway, out there where now they're raising havoc with that new interchange. God, they're just, if you've been out there on 90 or 70 in Cave Springs, it's like, okay, what's the lanes going to be like today? You know what I mean? They move them around all the time. It's you take your life in your hands. If you're going west on 70 and you get off at Cave Springs and you go south on Cave Springs, you go through the lane switch, the lane chicane. That's a word nobody ever uses anymore, chicane. Anyway, you go through.
What does that mean?
I'll explain in a minute.
Okay.
You go through the lane change and the whole bit, and then you're driving on the wrong side of the road, and there's cars coming at you, and there's construction workers throwing bricks at you. It's just crazy. Anyway, we went to that Red Lobster, and when we ordered, the whole family's there. We ordered, and I say, whatever I ordered. And I say, can I have a Henway with that? And the lady looks at me, and she goes, a Henway? What's a Henway? And I say, about 3 pounds. And it was like, no, but here's what's interesting. It was about 1,001, 1002, 1003, 1004. And then she just starts laughing hysterically. It took her like 4 seconds to process it. And
I can understand. Well, I feel her pain.
My son got the biggest kick out of that. He thought that was, he thought, every once in a while he'll say to me, I mean, not within like the last couple of years, but like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, hey, Dad, remember when we went to Red Lobster and you did the Henway joke on that woman? And I go, yeah, I do remember that. He goes, that was really funny. So my other one is Mata. And you say like, okay, I'll take a hamburger, French fry, large Coke, large Pepsi, large Mountain Dew, whatever, and a Mata. And they go, what's a Mata? Nothing. What's a Mata with you?
Indeed.
I'm sorry. It still is.
You're not sorry.
Okay. Can I tell?
You're like a child.
Can I tell you a story of what I heard on another radio station, which I thought was one of the funniest stories I've heard in a long time?
What is it?
It's on 97.1, okay? What they're trying to do is and this is probably a smart move. They got all these radio stations in a box. They got like, it's Y98 and KZK and KMOX and what, I don't know how many stations are in the same box. So they're trying to cross promote between the stations. Hey, if you listen to Y98, here's one of the guys from KZK, and they come on, and the people from KZK are coming on KMOX, and the people from KMOX are coming on Y98. So they're trying to cross promote the different personalities. Okay, there's a guy, and I believe he's on Y98, and his name is Hayes, and I think that's what station is that. Let's just call him Hayes. Hey, I'm Hayes. I don't know if that's Hayes or Haze. It's probably Haze. He's probably stoned all the time. Oh, no, that's not Casey. I'm sorry. Wrong station. Okay. Anyway, he tells this story. And I would imagine from sound and what he's talking about, he sounds like he's probably mid to late 30s. Okay. So he goes on the air one day and talks to Mark Reardon, who I know, who's a really good talk show host and ex-news guy. Once again, he's a guy like me who keeps saying, what happened to journalism? Matter of fact, he's a Mizzou journalism grad, has been a news director at several stations, has worked at WTMJ in Milwaukee as a news director. Big news station up in Milwaukee, worked at KMOX as an afternoon guy and part of the news department. He likes news. He likes news when news was news. Okay, so he gets Hayes on there, and they're talking about, have you ever been arrested? And Hayes tells a story about how he got arrested for making prank phone calls. That they had one guy. It was funny because the story they told, there was one guy, and they somehow they knew his son or something like that, and they would just call him up and they would just say one word. They would just say Hagen. I think that's what the word he said. Hagen. They would just say Hagen and hang up. So they'd call the guy Hagen. They'd hang up. So then what happened was, and by the way, this is within the last 20 years or so. So there's caller ID, but they would always star 69, you call block, whatever it is. So they would block it. And one time, his buddy, when he was over at his house, used his phone, but he didn't block the call. So 2 hours later, 2 police show up. And they literally knocked on the front door. His parents were home. Can we come in and talk to you about something? And they went in the kitchen, sat down at the kitchen table, and he didn't know what was going on. And they called him in, whatever his name is. Come in here and talk to these police officers. Are you making prank calls? Yes, Mom, I'm making prank calls. He went to trial on that. They took him to court. In front of in front of a judge. And I'm going like, man, holy cow. Now that's from a time far ago, far away. In a galaxy, long time ago, far away, whatever. Think about that in the city of St. Louis. What are your chances of, let's say, instead of making prank phone calls, you went over and you threw Molotov cocktails into the guy's car and house?
That wouldn't be cool.
What? And Kim Gardner would go, oh, just childish pranks. And we're not going to charge you. You know what I'm saying?
When are they going to do something about that woman?
Oh, never. But
it's got to be sometime.
But see, I can remember.
What she's doing is wrong.
Can I tell you something? When I was a kid, we used to do that all the time. Hey, do you have Sir Walter Raleigh in a can, you'd call a tobacco store. They'd say yes. Oh, you better let him out. He might die. He might suffocate. Hey, this is Union Electric. We just want to check, is your refrigerator running? Yeah, it is. You might want to catch it before it gets away. Click.
Oh, I got it. Ha 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 ha.
I'm sorry. It's still funny, don't you think? Come on.
It is. It's also 6:59.
Hey, do you have? Hey, Shelley, can you check if your refrigerator's running for me?
My refrigerator barely runs.
What did you just say? Oh, we got to get out of here. It's 6:59. It is BS.Show, the show that is about nothing, right?
Pretty much, yes.
I'm on my, once again, people don't believe it. You've witnessed this. I'm on my new diet called and I'm still mad about that guy's getting on publicity. I'm going to eat McDonald's for 100 days, and
you need to have what are they called?
A PR guy, a comms guy, something like that. He's on Today's Show, and I'm going like, he hasn't even done it yet. He's doing it now. I've done it. This is the the documented third time. First time was Kids Menu Challenge. That website is still up, kidsmenuchallenge.com, where all I ate was kids' meals all day long. McDonald's, Burger King,
true.
Dairy Queen. The last one I was on was fast food me, where all I ate was fast food, morning, noon, and night. Matter of fact, and now
which isn't really different than what you normally eat.
Which is exactly right. But it's all about, I snorted again, it's about portion control, okay? Now I'm on the Little McFreddy diet, okay? I have Little Debbie's for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, and Freddy's for dinner. Now, some days I may flip it around. I did that yesterday. I had Little Debbie's for for breakfast, and I had Freddy's for lunch. So, and by the way, matter of fact...
What?
Hold on a minute. I have to play something. I don't know if I can get it to work on my phone. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. I forgot I did this. This is so funny. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here. Hold on a minute. Are you ready? Are you listening? Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a minute.
Today.
Okay. Let me start it over again. Okay, I'm gonna play it again.
Shelley, where are you today?
Did you hear it?
I don't know what she said.
Shelley, where are you today?
Howdy, how are you today?
Shelley, where are you today?
Shelley, where are you today? Shelley, where are you today?
She doesn't say that.
Well, it's chopped because I started recording and she started talking too fast. It's chopped at the beginning. Okay, I'm going to play it again.
Shelley, where are you today?
Shelley, where are you today? It's a video. Here, I'll send you the video. I'll send you right now, okay?
Okay.
Here,
Who is that?
That's the manager at Freddy's, who every time I go in there, she wants to know where you are because
I've had people say, "Where's your counterpart?" I'm like, I don't know. He's working.
Okay, here we go. Here's the video, and watch, confirm that this is actually. You'll see she's standing because I walk in the door and she says, "Okay, where's your partner in crime?" And I go, and I literally, this is what I say. I say, she hates this place. Because you do. You hate Freddy's, right?
I do.
How can you hate Freddy's? How can you hate Freddy's? I don't understand.
Because it doesn't have any what's the word?
It has panache. It has
That's not what it has at all.
It's panache. Yeah.
I don't like it since they got rid of our collar. And another reason is it doesn't have any, like, you go to Culver's, they have items that you normally wouldn't get at Freddy's.
Yeah, like what?
Like fish.
Oh, who wants fish? Who wants fish? Tomorrow, tomorrow in March. Who would eat fish tomorrow in March? There's nobody eating fish tomorrow.
Everybody's eating fish on Fridays.
It's Lent, right? Okay. So they don't have. I think they do have fish at Freddy's. Yeah, they have fish at Freddy's.
Only during Lent. Yes.
Oh God. So you want them to have? I mean, it's a hamburger place. See where it's at? That's her. Did she look familiar?
Oh, that is so funny, Brad.
I walk in and she says to me, "Where's your partner in crime today?" I go, "She hates this place." So I go up to the counter. I go, "Hey, will you do a video for me?" And she goes, "Yeah." I go, "I send this to Shelley." So I hit the button to record and she started talking too quick. So the beginning of Shelley is cut off. She's like, "Helly," it's Shelley. So
I've been called before.
Helly.
Appropriately so.
Okay. So anyway, so there. So see See, once again, if you go to Freddy's, you eat hamburgers. That's why you go there. You don't go there for fish.
Steak and Shake, who they copied off of, I might add.
Yeah.
Had more things.
When you go to Domino's, you don't get hamburgers at Domino's. You don't
get a hamburger pizza.
You don't get French fries at Domino's.
No, but you get what?
You don't get French fries at Domino's. They're not there. That's why it's because Domino's is pizza. When you go to Emo's, you don't get thick crust pizza. You get Emo's
pizza. That's
pizza.
not true. You can actually ask for that.
Can you really at Emo? Can you get a thick crust pizza?
I don't know.
Chicago style.
I don't know.
I have to make a phone call here. I have to make a prank phone call. Okay, would you bear with me on this?
Sure.
Okay, here we're gonna do a prank phone call.
Every
I got a
call
call
you make is a prank, honey.
No, it's not. Here's one ringy dingy.
Your prank phone call?
A prank phone. You know you're listening. Hey.
I am listening.
I'm calling from Quiver River Electric Company. I just want to make sure. Is your refrigerator running?
Took off at about 100 miles an hour.
This is my niece, Christy, as she's known to the world now as Christy Poopin' Underwear.
Poopin' Underwear.
Because when she was a little girl, she would look around. She would be sitting somewhere, and she'd look around, and she'd smile, and all of a sudden she'd put her head back, and she'd say, "Poopin' Underwear!" Right?
I did.
Christy,
yes.
I feel your pain,
and a shout
honey.
out to you. Best uncle in the world coming to fix my car the other day.
Okay.
So thank you.
Should I tell that story on the air? I just wanted.
You can.
I just wanted to make sure your car's still working, right?
It is. I got a new battery after AutoZone sold me the wrong size battery, and we couldn't get it to fit.
Right.
And then once we had the right size, got it in, started her right up. So thank you for jump starting my car with your little battery pack.
Christy is a school teacher, and we won't say where because that'd get her in trouble. And she's been doing it for how many years now?
21.
Wow. And so so tell me how many days, how many years, days, months, and hours till you retire now again?
You know I only have the years right now. 9 more.
Okay, now you don't have years. You don't have the months, days, and hours yet. Okay.
I don't have the countdown. Wait until Jackson's in high school, and then I'll have the countdown for you.
So this is sort of funny. She texted me the other day that, "Hey, Uncle Brad, my car's broke down. And I can't get the start." So you live near your sister. So did you walk over to your sister's house?
I was going to, and she offered to come to my house since we had all of our book bags and all of our junk to get to school.
So she came over to your house, and then you took her car, and then you dropped her back off at her house because she works from home, right? Okay. So so she calls me, or you texted me, and I go, "I'll go take a look at it." So I didn't realize it was in your garage. By the way, you have a very nice garage. I'm jealous of that 3-car garage. So she says, she texts me all this stuff. My garage code, and by the way, can I give you garage code out on the air?
No.
Anyway, she gives me her garage code, and I go in, and can I tell what kind of a car you have? It's just a brand name.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a Kia, right? Or is it a Hyundai?
No, I have a Chrysler.
Oh, it's
the Pacifica.
That's right. It's a Chrysler. Okay, what am I thinking?
Yeah, my sisters have those cars.
That's right. Okay, so it's a Chrysler, and it's in the garage, and the problem with it is it won't start. And what's weird about it is you open up the car, and the lights on the dash, the display comes up, and everything lights up like it should.
Yeah.
I'm going like, okay.
That's the other battery. That's the auxiliary battery.
See,
but
now,
we'll get to that.
That's what's interesting because now your car has 2 batteries, right?
Yes.
Which is weird. One battery runs like the electronics, and the other battery starts the car.
And I told you I already replaced that one, didn't I?
Right. So you think it's something like with the computer and stuff like that. So I've got my little OBD2 tester, tester machine and stuff like that. So I think, well, she's probably got, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not going to be good. She's got some kind of a weird computer problem, and you're going to have to.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah,
Bye, buddy.
and it's going to be $10,000 to replace the computer, right? So. I go out there and I'm thinking to myself, this is so weird. And you push the button, it's push button start fob thing, and you give me. And then she says, my key's hanging inside the laundry room in the closet.
Right,
I'm going like,
I forgot to leave them. I didn't think I was going to call you, so I had my regular keys in my purse.
So I don't know if you know it. I went in your laundry room. I did a load of laundry, and and then not your laundry, my laundry. But anyway,
your laundry. Did you? Yeah, I didn't have any M&Ms to leave you. Sorry.
So I get the key out, and I'm pushing on the button. I'm going, this is so weird.
Wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and because everything comes up, the dashboard lights come up, everything, and the car keeps telling you. And now here's the weird thing I'd ask you about your car. It says you have to push the button with the fob.
So apparently, no, you don't. But I guess when certain things don't work right, I have heard that is a way to like reset things, which makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever.
Okay, but that's what it told me.
I know. In my old Town and Country van, I could actually pop the start button out and actually put the key in the ignition.
That's right. Some of those had that, right? Exactly. You could pop it out and put the key in.
And this one, you can't do it.
Right.
And I'm like, what? This is stupid. Like, I love my remote start. I love my push the button to open the doors, whatever is great. But let me put a key in the ignition, because like I even told you when I texted, I couldn't even tell if it was going to turn over. So like I was like, is it a battery or is it the alternator? Because, if it'll at least turn over, you can hear the difference. No.
If I've had one influence as your uncle on you, I appreciate what you just said. I'm the same way. I hate these key fob things. Put a key on a ring, put it in the ignition, turn it, and let the car go.
Right?
So here's what's happening. I'm sitting in her garage, and I got my foot on the brake, and I'm pushing the start button, and the display keeps saying, push the start button with the key fob. And I'm going, what? Push the start button with the key fob? So I grabbed the key fob and I pushed against the start button. And then it says some other error message. I go, I have no idea what's going on. I put my scanner on it. I can't see any codes. So I think to myself, I wonder if the battery's dead. So I got my little jump box. Now the problem was you drove your car all the way up to the end of your garage. I couldn't get the hood open.
I know, sorry.
So
I know.
I popped the hood from inside, and then I had to squeeze around to the front to try to get to the hood release, and I got the hood open. So I put my little jump pack on. I get back in the car, starts right up. And I'm going, this is crazy. So you take it up. I text you. I said, hey, Christy, I got your car going. You need a new battery. The battery's dead. So I left my little jump box. And by the way, do you still have you still have my little jump box?
I do. It's in my garage. So if you still have the code, you can go get it. Otherwise, I'll get it back to you this weekend.
I got to drive all the way to Timbuktu to go pick it up.
Hey, I'll get it back to you this weekend. I'll meet you at the tower. How about that?
So Christy goes to AutoZone, and here we go again. I say, hey, AutoZone's usually, and there's one, a mile from your house, real close.
Oh yeah, tops.
And they change batteries, but not Christy's battery because why? Tell them why.
The fuse box sits on top of my battery.
Right.
So the kid told me he wasn't allowed to touch it.
Right. So he can't change.
He's like, I'm sorry, I can't. He goes, and you have this, the air intake thing was there, which is so, I can pop that out. Like, that's not a problem. So yeah, thanks to YouTube, I figured out the fuse box was nothing. It was nothing. I unscrewed 2 bolts, picked it up, popped out a little clip. And again, if I would have had the right size battery, because did you notice next to my battery, that little battery must have been the auxiliary battery, which Lou Fuse, who I usually really love, probably shouldn't call him out on air.
They don't advertise. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. They knew it was my auxiliary battery the last time. They made me pay $100+ to run a diagnostic and then $100+ to change out that little battery because they told me that you can't do that on your own. It was in with a strap like any other battery.
Well, okay.
It wasn't hiding underneath 50,000 things.
So,
I don't know.
So here, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. So how much did Uncle Brad save you by diagnosing your problem and coming doing?
Oh my gosh. I told you I owe you White Castles and M&M's.
Yeah, White Castles and M&M's. But I can't. I'm on my little McFreddy diet. I can't eat those right now. Wait till May. Okay.
So McDonald's and something? What are we going for?
Little Debbie's in the morning, McDonald's for lunch, and Freddy's for dinner. That's what I'm on, right?
Got it.
The little McFreddy, littlemcfreddy.com. Okay, so your car's running okay. Everything's fine.
Yes, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Christy, you're an amazing woman. Even if you are a school teacher, I still have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you, Uncle Brad. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Shelley.
Bye, honey, and I feel your pain.
One of these days, you're going to meet her.
I would love to meet her.
She's such an amazing woman. She really is.
Seriously, I would just love to meet that woman.
She is. When her sisters get together, my 3 nieces, And when my youngest son, Drew, gets together with his 3 cousins, my 3 nieces, it's like watching Comedy Hour. I mean, they gig each other back and forth, and they make fun of each other, and it's so much fun. I mean, they are, and my youngest son, I think if he wanted to do it, and if I told him this, I've never said this to his face, he could do stand-up comedy because he has really interesting timing when he says things. The way he says things, like if you go to some comedy clubs, the guy's like that. But my son is like, he sort of says it sort of in a dry. Who's the guy? Remember the guy who was like, the guy who talked like that, the comedian who was like really dry, and he talked like that. I don't say my son's like that. I have no idea. But he has this very dry delivery. And
I can see that about him.
Anyway, anyway, that's my 3 nieces, Christy, Nicole, and what's her name? Oh, yeah, Carissa, and my son, Drew.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
When they get together, yes. And 2 teachers. Christy is a teacher, Nicole's a teacher, and Carissa is a respiratory therapist. So they've done well in their lives, and I salute them, and they're wonderful people, even if out of 3 of them are teachers. I still like them.
I think you need to let that go.
Okay. The deal in Atlanta. They're trying to build this new training facility for police, fire, and paramedics, okay? First responders, essentially. And it's in a park, but it's in a park that no longer is being used, and it's in a park that has a bunch of trees, but they're going to cut down some of the trees. And these protesters have been protesting because they call it Cop City. They don't want to make Cop City. And so now here's what's interesting.
What, they don't want them close to their meth lab?
Well, maybe that's what it is. Okay, what are people complaining about? The cops aren't trained right. They're not trained properly. They need better training. So here they're trying to build a facility to train the cops better, and they're trying to cause all sorts of problems. So what's happened is a bunch of Antifa people have shown up, and one guy, or actually there was a couple of them, have camped out in this area in Atlanta where they're trying to build this facility. Once again, it's like sort of, it's like woods and stuff like that, but it's not all woods. Okay, and one of the things is the people were complaining, you're cutting down trees to make this Cop City. So they hired like this, I don't guess it was an arborist or something like that, some kind of horticulturist kind of dude. And he goes in, and I read the report, and it's sort of interesting because he says most of the area where they want to put stuff in has already been deforested. There are already trees to cut down, and the remaining area that they want to deforest is he said, I think it was non-indigenous and brush. So in other words, it's non-indigenous trees. It's like the trees that I fight all the time, honeysuckle. If you know anything about honeysuckle is just drive up and down any
ferocious. It's like wisteria.
Oh my God! You drive up down the interstates. It's all over the interstates now. On the shoulders, it's all over the place. And I have one piece of property that it just gets infested with honeysuckle. I'm always fighting the honeysuckle. Okay, so what happens is, I guess this is a couple weeks ago, one of these protesters decides he's going to camp out in this ground. Once again, he's trespassing at city property. What does he care? He's a protester. He pitches a tent, the whole bit. The police try to get him out of there, and he shoots one of the state troopers in the stomach. Okay? So the state... Go ahead.
I have no words for that.
Yes, he shoots one of the state troopers who's trying to evict him off of this property. Shoots him in the stomach. I believe it caught him in the vest, and I believe the trooper lived. But it still injured him. And once again, you shoot a cop, and guess what? They shoot back. So, But in this particular case, the cop went away, left, and then a bunch of other cops
by ambulance, I hope.
I believe that was the case, and a bunch of other cops converged on this area, and they found the guy, and he shoots at the other cops, and they shoot back. And here's the controversy: they shoot back. Let's say maybe more than once, maybe more than twice, maybe more than 3 times, maybe more than 10 times. The guys get shot like 25 times. So people are going like, whoa, they shot him 25 times. Okay, once again, you shoot a cop, it's open season on the perp. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I almost hate to say that.
Did you learn that? Did you ever work for
I did. I worked for a police department, yes.
Perp is an actual term.
Yeah, I have Officer Perp. That was our chief. No, anyway. So once again, if you shoot a cop, it's to the point where I'm not trying to say this is like the death squad, but once again, when the other cops go in, he shot back at those cops, the cops shot at him. So now it's all out war.
So basically it's suicide by cop.
Well, some people would say that. Okay, so now it's all out war. So was this Monday or Tuesday? 100 people converge on, they say at least 100. I've seen the video. I'm thinking to myself, it looks like more than 100 people. And they're all in black. They're all in the Antifa people. They all converge. It's like a coordinated attack. They converge.
Do they have matching shirts?
No, they're all in black. They're all in black.
They don't have.
No, they're in the Antifa. They're wearing the black pants, the black. They look like ninjas, okay? And they're wearing the stocking masks and all that kind of stuff. They converge in Cop City, and they destroy all the construction equipment. I mean, they're setting fires to bulldozers. Now, here's the sad part of that, okay? Guess what? That construction equipment is not owned by the city. It's owned by some poor guy who owns a construction company or some poor lady who owns a construction company. And we're talking like the one bulldozer, that they set on fire. That's probably $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 piece of equipment. They're burning all the construction equipment, and they chase the cops out of this place. There's a couple guys who are there, like watching it, like guarding it, and they go flying out of the place in their patrol car, and they go up across the street to another area, which is where they're doing. It's not necessarily where they're building this new place, but there's another area with a construction fence. And the cops are trying to lock this gate as this group is coming after them. In other words, the cops are being chased by 100+ group, and they start throwing bricks and rocks at them. And the poor cops are trying to lock this gate, and there's fireworks going all around them. There's, they're shooting them with Roman candles and, and Molotov cocktails and rocks and bricks and stuff like that. So what's interesting about it is that after this thing happened, there was, like 2 hours after this happened, there was a peaceful protest. Well, here's where it gets interesting, at least to me. They show the cops get a drone up in the air. And as these Antifa people, all dressed like ninjas, are retreating back into the woods, the drone is flying over the top of them, and it shows them taking off their ninja clothes and putting on their regular clothes. So then they all went to the protest in downtown Atlanta, where they're all dressed just like normal human beings, not like ninjas. And I'm going like, wow, once again.
Are they acting like normal human beings?
Well, they arrested a bunch of them the other day, and they arrested like 30 of them, and like 29 of them are from outside of the area. 2 of them are from a different country.
Well, that's what it was like here.
Well, here now here's
I don't want to get in this long, diatribe of.
But once again, why would you want to be a cop right now? Why would you want to be a cop? I mean, I don't understand it. Now, interesting thing is, there's 2 other things I want to talk about.
Be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Well, maybe if you really you want to serve your country, you want to serve your community, I get it. There's a thing now, the problem they're having, and they're saying this might be the problem in Memphis, where they had those 4 black cops beat that black guy up and kill him. Ultimately, it didn't kill him right away. He died a couple days later. Now they're talking about reducing standards for police. Now, get this. In Los Angeles, if a perfect score for the academy is 100, and this is like a blended score with text work, book work and class work and physical fitness, okay? A perfect score is 100. They'll take anybody down to 50, okay? But the problem is they can't find enough people to go into the police academy, which is true all over the country in Los Angeles. So now they're going to drop the score down. You ready for this? Perfect score is 100. The passing score now, 50 and above, you get in. They're going to drop the score
50?
down. Yes, 50. So in other words, if you score a 50 or above, you get to be a police officer.
That's ridiculous. I mean, usually anything above 70 is gravy.
Hold on a minute. They're going to change the new score to 10. If you score 10 or above, you pass.
That's not true.
I swear to God it's true.
Where did you hear that?
I'll find the story. They want to change it. This is one of the city councilmen in Los Angeles. They want to change the score to 10, and they said that will give us a more diverse police department. So
okay, that's all fine, well, and good, but
well, I told you the story. I mean, right now, I will say, I've heard this said now, I will say we are a last stage republic. I don't mean to sound like I'm being,
a last stage republic?
Yeah, it's like once upon a time you had this mighty Roman Empire. Why doesn't the Roman Empire exist anymore? Because it disintegrated from within, okay? I say that's happening right now. And right now, I heard someone say the other day, how was it that in World War II, once we got into World War II, once they bombed Pearl Harbor, we said, we're going to kick those guys' butts. Everybody and their brother showed up at the recruiting office, and they took almost everybody. Once again, I gave a statistic that I read, and I asked a friend of mine who was in the military, and I go, is this true? And he goes, yep. Right now, men 18 to 35, which is the recruiting age they go after for all the services, Army, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Space Force, 18 to 35, only 27% of the American males can pass the physical right now. 18 to 35, only 27%. Almost 3/4 of the American male population between 18 and 35 can't pass the physical to be in the military. Now, think about that for a minute. Why is that? Video games, too much TV, too much time spent, down in mom and dad's basement. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I do.
How sad is that? 20, and I'm going to find the story about the 10%. You don't believe me, but that was what they wanted to do. 10% on a score of 0-100. If you score 10 points, you're an LA cop. I'm going like.
I think that's actually almost.
Maybe I can make it.
Rude and insulting.
Well, but once again, I mean,
no, but I'm just telling you, it's rude and insulting.
I mean, if you go in for an operation. And you found out that...
Yeah, that's what I want is a neurosurgeon that's going to operate on my back. I want him to have passed college and surgery with a 10.
Well, no, you want him to pass with 100. You don't want him to pass with a 10. Right. You don't want the guy, who's last in his class, who, got stoned all the time and got his MD somehow by miracle. Hey, Shelley, yeah, I can do that back surgery. Yeah. Well, let me get ready to get my scalpels out.
Like that, but
okay.
But I do have somebody that my usual neurosurgeon is.
See, now Shelley's name dropping. She's got a neurosurgeon. How many of you out there have a neurosurgeon? Not me.
Well, there's a difference.
I don't have one.
That's because you don't take care of yourself.
I do take care of myself. I'm on the Little McFreddy diet. Little Debbie's for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, Freddy's for dinner. Man, I am so healthy. Jack LaLanne, if Jack LaLanne was still around, there's a name nobody knows. If you know who Jack LaLanne is or was?
I do.
Okay, you're too old. Okay.
There's a lot.
We got to take a break. 7:33.
What?
You're too old. It is BS.Show. I'm Shelley. She's Brad. 7:38. What were we going to talk about this break? You were going to tell me. Hello?
I don't think that was the agreement.
What's that?
I don't think that was the agreement.
Hold on. I yelled at her. Not to ever meeting my niece and your donor. She is on the back and forth when they're all together. Okay. Never mind. Okay. Yesterday, do you like that pregnant pause?
Yeah, it was kind of creepy.
Okay.
I'm like, does that mean we're off the air?
The Murdaugh trial, which ended last week.
I'm sorry?
The Murdaugh trial. This attorney from South Carolina who got convicted of killing his.
They wanted to do consecutive, but they wouldn't do that. They just made it one.
Well, there's another interesting aspect of this whole situation.
What's that?
Well, as he was being taken away after he was found guilty, and they let him off outside, put him in the back of the paddy wagon, patrol car, whatever it was. They took him back to the prison. And the next day he showed up for sentencing, and there were people outside yelling, "Buster is next! Buster is next! Buster is next!" Okay, do you know what that's?
Buster?
Buster is his oldest son. He has 2 sons. He had Paul, which is now he's convicted of murdering Paul and murdering his wife, Maggie. And Buster is his older son. And during the trial, he referred to his son as Paw and Maggie Mag, or he's if you listen to trial, he's got that good old Southern boy voice. Yeah, my son Paw. I'd never hurt my son Paw. And he called his son Buster. He called him Bus. Okay. Here's what's.
Do you know what my granddaughter calls me?
For dinner?
No.
What?
She.
She.
like Shelley.
Christy used to, after on the air, she used to call herself TT because she couldn't say Christy. She could just say TT. Okay, anyway.
I'm sorry, I digress.
It
was just so cute.
There is another murder, at least they didn't think it was murder at first, that they think Buster did. One of his classmates, going back about 5 years ago, was found dead on a road right by their house. Boy, those Murdochs, I'm telling you got to watch out and around that neighborhood, because remember, his housekeeper fell down the steps and she was killed at their house, and then his younger son was drunk and driving daddy's boat. Pawpaw was driving dad's boat and smashed into a bridge in the middle of the night and killed a young lady, one of his high school classmates, killed her, injured all the people on the boat. And one of Buster's friends was found dead not too far from their house with head injuries. And originally, they declared the death, the highway department, supposedly one of the highway department workers found it. It's on some rural road near where they live. They're Moselle, where they called it. They found this guy, young guy, at the time he was like 17 or 18 years old, dead. And officially, they ruled it death, accidental death by car accident, because they say he got hit by a car. Well, what's interesting is now they're saying that the Murdaughs use their influence to essentially say, oh, yeah, he was hit by a car. But the interesting thing was, now they're saying he had no damage to his clothes. Normally they say, I didn't know this. I did know part of this. They said that when people are hit by a car, and unfortunately, I saw this happen once, which I will never forget, right on Highway K. But when people are hit by a car, usually they come out of their shoes. Do you know this crazy thing?
I do not.
Yes, usually people come out of their shoes because when they're hit and they're hit at such a speed, the car hits them and accelerates them so quickly that their shoes fall off.
Oh, you mean as a pedestrian?
Yes, as a pedestrian.
Yes,
so,
I agree I know that.
Okay, so anyway, his clothes were intact, and normally they said there's tearing of the clothing where the car would impact the body. And they also say typically that since most cars now have plastic grills and plastic front ends, that even the slightest accident, you know how this is, you barely hit something.
Yeah, they're built to take the
right, but the grills just fall into
pressure.
pieces. They just fall into pieces. You know what I mean? There's like pieces of grill. You just go back a traffic accident. If you're the first guy who goes by a traffic accident, you go all that crunchy stuff. You're driving over broken pieces of cars. Okay, anyway, they're now saying they think he was murdered, and they think Buster did it.
So what are they going to do about it?
Well, but here's the bizarre thing, okay?
What?
Your dad's on trial for murder, and during the trial, your dad's on trial for murder, and Alex's, or whatever is, it's weird. His real name was Richard Alexander Murdaugh, but he goes by the name of Alex. But you're not supposed to call him Alex. You're supposed to call him Alec, which I'm going like, okay, I don't quite understand that. Where does Alec come from? Alex.
He's got a man crush on Alec Baldwin.
Maybe that's what it is. Okay, his older brother. This is the guy that just threw him in jail for murder. His older brother and Buster. In other words, this would be Buster's uncle. And Buster, during the trial, flew to Las Vegas to gamble. Now, how do they know that? Because people took pictures of him. Now, once again, the Murdaugh boys...
That sounds like they're trying to create a alibi.
The Murdaugh boys aren't hard to pick out because they got cherry red hair, orange hair, and like they look like whitey white breads. You know what I mean?
They're gingers.
Well, I don't know. You keep saying that. I have no idea what that means. What is it?
It means it's somebody with red hair.
Well, how's that ginger? Ginger ale is clear.
It's just what they call it.
Okay, whatever. Okay, so anyway, now the police are supposedly they're thinking about exhuming this guy because he was one of Buster's friends from high school. This happened like 5 years ago. And they're thinking that the Murdaugh family covered up another murder and that Buster did it because this was one of Buster's buddies. And they found him, once again, he had traumatic head injury and looked like he'd been hit with, like they call it, blunt object, like with a baseball bat or something like that, which they say is uncharacteristic of someone hit by a car. Normally they have other blunt trauma forces. Like let's say if you're walking along the street and somebody hits you with a car, depending on the car, it's usually going to hit you like in the hips, thighs, in that area, and you're going to be all bruised up, right? Car's going to hit you like 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. Bang, you're going to be all bruised up, and you will probably have head injuries because when you hit the ground after you've been hit by the car, you're going to bounce your head off the concrete or the asphalt, whatever it is. So you're going to have that.
I can see that.
Okay, but they said he did not have any other injuries except for traumatic head injuries. So they're saying that now, the interesting thing is now the what do you call them? The paparazzi is following Buster. And this is how they took pictures of him in Las Vegas.
Doing, Biden's boy.
Yeah, they just follow him around all the time, take pictures. Mm-hmm. And that's how they knew he was in Las Vegas. Now, get this. Great kid. He got kicked out of the university he was going to school. I can't remember which university he was going to school. He got kicked out of the university. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't work. He worked at his dad's law firm. Now that and then after his dad stole the money, they fired him at the law firm. So he lost his job at the law firm. I don't know what he did. He's probably running the copier or something like that. He got kicked out of school. Why did he get kicked out of school? Plagiarism. He was turning in papers that he was essentially just copying stuff off the internet. He's pulling up Google pages. For all I know, he's using ChatGPT. He's probably just pulling Google pages. So he gets kicked out of the university, and his dad hires an attorney to sue the university. Once again, his dad, who's now in jail, hires another attorney to sue the university, and he pays the attorney $60,000 to sue the university to get his son back in school. Great family, huh?
Okay.
So I mean, like, if you got kicked out of school, what would your parents say to you? Shelley, I can't believe that happened. You get what's coming to you, right? That's if I got kicked out.
No, my parents weren't like that.
What would they say? Would they say we're going to spend $60,000 and sue the university?
No, my mom would say, "Oh, Shelley."
I thought you were going to say something else. I was about ready to hit the button.
And then she would try to handle it without telling my dad.
Yeah, but they would be upset, right?
My mom would be very disappointed in me, yes.
And your dad would be upset too, right?
Yeah, he'd be mad.
Okay, well, so once again, but no, not Buster's dad. Buster's dad hires an attorney to sue the university. And I'm going,
no.
So now what's happening is Buster has called the police, and he's filed a harassment claim against some of the news organizations because they're taking pictures of him.
Yeah.
And his quote was like, he says, "I had no idea I'd be a national news celebrity," or whatever it is.
Oh, please.
Dude, your dad...
You're setting yourself up for everything to do that.
Right. Your dad gets nailed for killing his wife and your brother. Your dad steals tens of millions of dollars, steals from poor people that he represented. The one guy who was in a car accident who became a quadriplegic, and Mr. Murdaugh stole his settlement money. The poor guy's in a car accident. He's a quadriplegic. Can you imagine how that changes your life? And, your attorney steals the money, and this guy's saying, the paparazzi after me. I'm going to file a police report. If I were him, I would have nothing to do with the police because, you know what? If they get too familiar with you, they'll say, "Hey, tell us a little bit more about your buddy who had that quote-unquote car accident out there in the street out there. What do you know about that?" "I don't know anything. I don't know." "Was he a friend of yours?" "Yeah, he's a friend of mine." "How'd he end up there dead?" "I don't know. I have no idea." "Hey, I got to go. Talk to you later. Bye." You know what I'm saying?
I actually hit a car and left a note. It was behind my house. I lived in NoCo. And I left a note, and evidently it got taken off or some way.
Yeah.
Because they never came to talk to me.
Right.
And
they knew who you were. That's what it was. "Oh, it's Shelley. She'll punch me in the face."
No.
And then the people
nobody knows who I am.
You got arrested for leaving the scene of an accident.
So nothing ever came of it, and I damaged his car pretty bad. I just didn't know what house it went to. So anyway, I let it go, which I normally wouldn't do, but I did because I'm like, okay, I guess it'll come. And I'm driving down St. Catherine, and I kind of did a rolling stop and got pulled over by a cop. And he happened to be a gentleman I went to high school with. And so he's like, St. Joseph, St. Joseph. Oh, yeah, I said, that was me. I hit that car. But I left a note and they never called me. And so I got ticketed. I got, he was able to, I think it made him a detective.
What?
Yeah.
Did they arrest you?
No, they didn't arrest me. I mean, he knew where I lived. It's obvious.
Oh. We don't have time right now. We're way behind. Tell the story again tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Because now you're you're admitting to being a felon? Is that what you're admitting?
It wasn't a felon.
Okay, hold on a minute. By the way, the smartest woman in the world says you're wrong. Alex got 2 consecutive life sentences, so she says what she says. Alex got 2 consecutive life sentences, so Shelley is wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard that they were trying to get them, but they only settled for 1.
No, he's got 2. Okay, we have to take a break.
I didn't know that.
We have to take a break.
Good.
We have to take a break so Shelley can go out and smash into her neighbor's car and leave the scene. Okay, it's 7:50. It's 7:51.
Is it a felon?
Yes. It is BS.Show. I'm Shelley. She's Brad. Hard to believe. I still can't believe that's Maren Morris. But anyway, that's a whole other story. I won't beat that dead horse. 7:57. Okay. Yesterday, I heard this story, which is a tragic story. But how sad is this? Car accident up in North County. Don't know exactly where. I think it was Berkeley or someplace like that. And lady walking across the street, and I think a lady turning out of a shopping center or something like that hit her, and pedestrian accident, knocked her down. She's laying in the street. Lady gets out of her car, goes to her aid. Another car comes and hits the lady again, and then kills her. And that car takes off. It's bad enough you get hit by one car. But when the second car hits you and takes off, how bad is that? Can you imagine that?
Now that is bad.
I mean, I heard the story. I thought to myself, what? And sure enough, I looked it up. Apparently, the woman she hit, the woman who died, was 61 years old, and she was a pedestrian. She was walking across the street, and from what I understand, she was not in a crosswalk, or she was like crossing the street, and lady didn't see her, hit her, jumped out of her car, ran to her aid, and then another car comes and hits the same lady who got hit by the first car. Second car hits her, kills her, and the car takes off.
What about the first lady?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen with her. I mean, she, it was an accident. She didn't leave the scene of the accident. She got out of her car, rendered aid. I mean, I don't know how much more you can do. There have been times when I have had situations where people who have just run out in the street in front of me, and once again, I'll never forget this from driver's ed. I don't know if this was taught to you in driver's ed, and I still to this day do it. They talk about covering your brake. You know what I mean? You know what that means?
No, I don't.
We were taught that if you're in a situation where you're looking ahead and you see...
Oh, you hover over your brake pedal.
Yes. You take your foot off the accelerator and you put your foot... You don't put your foot on the brake, but you put...
No, you hover.
You hover your foot over the brake in case... And we were always taught, this is me back in the day, that when you're in a situation where you have pedestrians and you're going, like, let's say in a subdivision, especially if you had kids run, if you see kids playing like in the front yard, you always cover your brake. The idea being that one of those kids could chase a ball out into the street or chase a dog or something like that. And that way, if your foot was over the brake, there's that less time that it takes to get your car stopped. So anyway, we have to take a break. That was a short break, and we're going to take a 22-hour break. We'll be back tomorrow morning, okay?
Oh, everybody have a great day. Happy Thursday. Brad, heaven as usual. Peace and I fly.
It's actually 8 o'clock now.
8 o'clock.
We're late. Shame on you. Hold on a minute. I got to do this.
It's your fault.
It is my fault.
It is.
Hold on a minute. Oh, you know what? It's not going to work. Oh, my God. Here, hold on a minute. The computer bit me, you know where. I got to do this. Okay. I owe a couple commercials to a client. Two clients have to make good on because the commercials just disappeared. Okay. It's 8 o'clock. Hold it. It is going to play. Oh.
Have you heard about Salt River Automotive? Not only are we open for business and ready to serve you, we are sponsors of the BS in the Morning Show on Westplex 107.1. Check us out on Facebook at Salt River Automotive LLC. See you soon.